Welcome to this episode of All About Hopkinton. I'm Mary Arnott, your host for today. All About Hopkinton is the program that brings you information about the people and organizations that help make our town an inviting place to live with its high quality of life. Over the years, I have interviewed individuals representing organizations from animal rescue to Boston Marathon, charities, local food markets, and pantries in our town government. All of the worthy nonprofits, there is one that is very deserving of our time and attention that I have not presented until today. Hopkinton's Community Access Media, HCAM, as we all know and love it. It's my great pleasure on this episode of All About Hopkinton to be with HCAM Station Director Jim Cousins. Welcome, Jim. Hi.
Well, welcome. It's my great pleasure to be here on this side of the desk.
This show's only been 20 years in the making, as they say.
In fact, when I was a volunteer in Hopkinton, this was a show that I produced.
When you were a volunteer in Hopkinton.
Yeah, so that was more than 21 years ago.
Oh,
yeah.
But this is the year, I think, of our 20th anniversary.
Yes,
right?
Yeah,
And
we just crossed 21 years.
so does it seem like a ride on a speeding train or a roller coaster?
I would say a roller coaster because it's been very exciting. It's been a lot of fun.
Lots of changes over the years, too.
I know. You know, a lot of growth, a lot of expansion, a lot of change in technology, a lot of new faces coming in and learning how to do things. Absolutely.
I've been here for most of them. I have, I think, one less year than you do, myself and our dedicated other volunteer, John Ritz, who's always doing so many programs.
Yes.
So where do we start? Do we want to go chronologically forward or backwards? I'm not sure which, but there's so much to talk about.
Okay. Why don't we start at the beginning? It's a very good place to start.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So 21 years ago, the cable companies were up for contract renegotiation, no longer wanted to run TV stations, and in coordination with the Board of Selectmen, the then Board of Selectmen, now the Select Board, they created a nonprofit, HCAM. And so there is a board of directors that oversees all the operations and receives the funding from the cable companies. And our mission is to inform, entertain, and educate our community.
And it's done so well over so many different venues throughout town. I don't know where to begin, but let's talk a little bit about you. How did you become involved?
Well, I was doing this job in Westboro. After I graduated from college, my first job was in a community TV station in Westboro. And then I went on to run that one and a couple other ones in the greater media constellation of systems. And I was there. And Westboro was a great place. And the only thing that got me out of that job were my kids. I took off 6 years to raise my kids. And when they were all in school, I was ready to work again, and that was just the time that HCAM came online. So I applied, I interviewed, and I was hired as the first station manager.
Very fortunate for us. And now station directors, we like to say, right?
I know.
Okay. So back then, when you got started, the programming was not as extensive as it is today, certainly.
That is correct.
Yeah. Do you recall some of the early things that you did with HCAM?
Yes. So before that, the model of the cable companies is, we're here. If you want to come make a show, then you can do it. And then when HCAM came on the scene, we decided that we weren't just going to wait for people to say, oh, let me find this place and let's do it. We were going to create the programming that our community wanted to see. So high school graduations, middle school plays, lots of Hiller sports, and then talk shows and entertainment shows were all in the mix. I always used to say, if you go to the golf station, the golf channel, you know why and you know what you're going to get. When you come to our channel, you may not know what you're going to get, but it's all Hopkinton.
Yeah, and such a variety, as you mentioned. There's so many things. Cooking shows, and we'll go over some of the things and maybe acknowledge some of the people that have contributed and participated in HCAM.
Okay.
Because you have a wonderful team here, but it certainly takes a lot of volunteers and people who are willing to come on and do shows as well.
Right.
So, but I think, would it be fair to say that one of the largest attractions is stuff doing with the schools and our students, particularly sports?
Yes, yes, we get a lot, and in fact, it's hard to parse out just what's Hopkinton because sports is regional. So for every game that Hopkinton plays, there are Ashland players or Holliston players or whoever, and so there's always a larger audience. And with YouTube, all of our stuff goes live on YouTube as well, and we air it on YouTube. It has a much broader footprint, but overall, sports are always exciting. People always want to know, like, what are the contests and who's winning and stuff like that. One of my favorite comments that I ever get is when I answer the phone and somebody says, "Are you covering the girls' basketball game?" I say, "Yes, we are." And he said, "Great, because I'm in Florida on business, and now I can tell my girl I will be watching her tonight live." So,
yes, and a lot of grandparents too, who
Yep.
have moved to Florida or some other places,
Exactly.
are able to go on and watch it.
Right.
Now, you mentioned YouTube. A little fact of history. Do you want to mention it?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I just realized that we're 21 years old and YouTube is 20 years old. So HCAM is actually older than YouTube.
Well, it is, but we're still very much alive and going strong.
You got it. You got it.
On the sports, the thing I just wanted to mention too, that when HCAM first started covering school sports, it was a limited number of sports that could be covered, correct?
Yes, correct. And in fact, one of the blessings that I have in this job is the team that works with me. And Tom Nappy is our sports director. I'm sorry, he's our news director, but he's our sports director at heart. That's what I always say. And he just loves sports. Whatever the sport is, wherever it is, he will carry the equipment, he will announce it, he will run the camera. He loves to work with the crew so that many hands make heavy work light. And the technology has really advanced so that what used to be very cumbersome is now not. It all fits in a backpack with, again, live scoreboards, streaming back to our studio, live onto YouTube. It's really kind of exciting.
Yeah, I think between Tom Nappy and Mike Terosian, we've covered just about every sport that possibly can be covered with the number of volunteers that you have working with them.
Yes.
And I know Tom particularly likes to do some of the broadcasting. He does a really good job at it.
Yep.
One time he couldn't be there, and Mike and I had to kind of step in and broadcast one of the games that was like, oh, well, this isn't going to be quite up to par, but we had a lot of fun with it. It was a good thing to do.
See, that's what I love, because that's what it's all about. People don't watch us because we look like Channel 5. They watch us because we're Hopkinton, and we don't have to be perfect. We're not professionals 40 hours a week doing just on-air talent or just, running a camera. So it's okay. It's okay that it's not perfect.
Well, it makes it fun, and that's a good point, that to get people involved, don't feel like you have to be the perfect speaker, the perfect director, the perfect camera operator. You can come down and have fun with us anytime you want to.
Exactly. It's cannot be overstated. It's so important that really this is fun. There's just a lot of fun that we can do, and we don't have to strive for perfection. I always say when I'm doing the training workshops, you can spend the rest of your life making this show perfect, or you can make every show better than the one before.
In fact, you just completed a workshop, I think, or about to get some more volunteers involved. That's great.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, the members of this workshop are crewing this episode.
Excellent. Well, I know they'll do a really good job because they've been through your training. So in addition to school sports, town government is a big draw as well, because it's so important to be informed. And if you can't make meetings, you can go to the broadcast for that particular meeting or commission meeting or whatever, like select board.
Yeah, so we're required by contract to cover the select board and the school committee. That's where we started, and from there, it got to be over a dozen meetings that we do provide regular coverage of, either live, the school committee meets here in this studio, or we have equipment at Town Hall, at the Senior Center, at the middle school, at the high school, and we carry stuff over to the library so we can cover many events on location. In addition, a lot of the government meetings now are also on Zoom, so we can join in from the studio and get that content onto the air. One of my favorite comments was there was a select board member who recently said, you know, to be quite honest with you, I really like HCAM's presentation of our meetings. I find it easy to find what I'm looking for. So that's always nice.
Well, easy to find, and there's archives so that people think, gee, didn't that pass at town meeting? They can go back through the archives and review things. I know I've done that myself.
Yes.
So
and that's one of the great things about YouTube. It will auto-transcribe all the videos. So you can search the videos, and if it has a word, it'll find it for you.
And of all the locations you mentioned where HCAM has a presence, you did say the high school and the middle school, and I know that you had started programs over there for students to get involved.
Yes, I started years ago with a after-school club at the middle school, and I asked the middle schoolers, what do you want to do? We can do anything. So they talked, and they said, we want to do ninjas versus zombies in the middle school hallways. And I said, we'll do that. We can do that. We can do that, no problem. And we'll put it up on YouTube, and some people will see it, and it'll be a lot of fun. Or we could do a middle school news program, plays during homeroom. Every pair of middle school eyes sees it, and you'll all be famous. And they all went, let's do the news show. And we've been doing it ever since.
Anything for that 20 minutes of fame, right?
I know. I love. One time we were doing a lip dub, and I was pushing the cart with the student on it, running the camera, and we're going down the hallways, and there's like lined up with middle schoolers as far as the eye can see. And as we're going by, there was this one person who was on the side waiting. He's going, "Look, he hosts the show," and so he got all flustered. That was like cute to see. So I love that.
If people want to see the stuff at the schools, though, it has their own channel, right?
Yes.
HCAM has 2 channels.
Exactly. Really good point, because initially the school department was responsible for HCAM Ed. Access TV typically has 3 channels: public, education, and government. So the school department got education, and HCAM TV was public and government. Several years went by. They really weren't getting the best that they could out of that. So they gave it over to HCAM. So we've been running that ever since, and that's why we have 2, HCAM TV and HCAM Ed.
And HCAM isn't just visible in Hopkinton. Other communities can tie into some of our stations.
Yes.
A limited number.
Yes. So if you are on Verizon, the way Verizon created their system, I think there's like 7 or 9 towns that also see our channel. And we can see their channels too.
Wonderful. Well, we're off to a good start, and there's a lot more information we're going to have to cover. But this time around in this show, we're going to have a little break for some announcements or
some promos of upcoming programming.
And then we'll be right back to continue with all of the good things that HCAM has done with you under your direction over the last 20 years or so.
Thanks.
Hello, I'm Judy Weinthaler, and I'm on the board of the Hopkinton Emergency Fund. We're a 501c3 to help people with financial emergencies. We're asking your support and help in spreading the word, and be in touch if we can provide more information. In conjunction with the Hopkinton Women's Club, we are doing, one more golf tournament.
Well, we're back from our station break. It's important to acknowledge our supporters and promotions. With promotions, I mean, kind of like advertising on those professional stations.
It is, exactly. Yeah. A PSA is just a commercial for a nonprofit or a community organization.
Public service announcements are important.
Yes.
So, well, we're going to continue talking about you and HCAM because of so many contributions that this organization, as a nonprofit, but going very strong, has made to this community. So we've talked about school sports and some town government. lots of other unique programming over the years, though.
Yes, yes. Some of the stuff that is really great. So a lot of people, they'll take the workshops to learn how to do it because it's fun, and they like making TV shows, and they also like being part of the community and educating and informing and entertaining their community. And then there are those people that really have something that they specifically want to share. I'm thinking of Terry Malisi, who came to us years ago and said, I am a gourmand, which means a person who just likes to cook. And she had a concept for a show called The Gathering, which she will prepare a show and then for a gathering, and then the last scene of the episode is her gathering, enjoying that show. So she's been doing that for years. She's very dedicated, and that's like just something, she just loves that. And Bruce Carlin, we all know him around town. He was our moderator for a while, and he was also came and said, I'm part of the Massachusetts Medical Society. I have a passion for getting out information about medical issues. We ended up making a show called Physician Focus, which went on for 10 years. And that show was copied and sent out to 90% of the Massachusetts cable market.
And so much good information on that. I remember being a camera operator for many of those episodes and thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't know that when they were talking about a particular medical topic.
Yeah.
And of course, Terry's shows always make me very hungry because they're delicious recipes.
Right.
So yes, two very unique programs, very meaningful to the community and others who were able to watch them.
Yes, exactly. A lot of arts, we did a show with Cheryl Peralt called Wake Up, Smell the Poetry, which was a live poetry and spoken word program where we have a live studio audience, 50, 60 people, and then artists would come up and share. So I always like, having artists on. And we did a show, Studio Session Live, which didn't have an audience, but one artist, and they would really perform a set, and we would record that. So those are some good ones in the past. And in fact, I'm working on a new show with a local artist too, so may see that continuing on.
Oh, more to come with that one.
More to come with that one.
Yeah, a lot of very talented people have appeared on HCAM.
Yeah,
and entertained our community.
And yes, and that's the kernel of it right there, right? My wife always says, if I talk to anybody long enough, I will eventually say the words, you should have a TV show, because we all have interests and information that are important, to share and to enjoy. When I was running the station down in Northbridge, I had a guy come in and he was like, I have all these videos of fish. I like to go scuba diving, but who's going to watch that? And I said, do you like it? And he's like, yeah, I do. And I said, so other people will like it too. So we put on a show of, looking at coral reefs and fish and stuff.
That's very key. If it's something you enjoy, chances are there are many, many others that would, and bring it on as a program here.
Exactly.
But we were talking about the artists. I couldn't help think about the talented young people that we had on some of the shows, playing piano or one of their instruments.
Right. Hein Pickles for years would bring in his classes, and they would do their recitals here. He would have a baby grand piano come in, and again, that was a big audience in studio for that, and a lot of really good talent. So yes, and even the talent shows, right? From Hopkins on, they do talent shows, and usually HCAM is there covering them and sharing them with the community.
Yeah, between being out on the scene or having something done here, you can cover it all, and you have in so many ways, you and your team. It's
amazing to me because when Mike Trojan and I first were putting the equipment together, it used to be so big and heavy and bulky, and now everything fits in a laptop. And you plug in a couple cameras, and you plug in some microphones, and you've got a little TV station right there. So it's amazing how easy that has become to do.
Well, I guess then we should talk a little bit about the technology, since it is what makes this all happen, and how it's changed over the years.
Right. Gosh, when I started here, I think we were we were still on videotape. The original studio cameras would take a videotape, and then we went to SD cards, which was great for reliability. No more, oh, the tape broke kind of moments. And again, smaller and smaller. The original camcorders were like this. Camcorders I use now at the high school and the middle school are like this. And in addition to being smaller, there's more capabilities. Our portable cameras now, we could stream onto our channel from the camera alone without having any other equipment. And it has, just other updated technology and stuff like that. And the technology is nice. I would say the best part of the technology is not only do you get better resolution as these iterations come along, it just becomes easier and lighter to carry around and do everything. But the most important part really is what we're pointing our cameras at and the information that we're sharing.
Well, that's true. But thankfully, the technology has changed the way it has. But when you mention tape, I imagine any young person watching this can say, tape? What's tape?
One is a really funny one. We have a middle school intern this summer, and I happen to be saying, oh, I'm going to have to fax that. And he said, what's a fax machine? What's a fax? I had to explain what a fax machine was. Oh. Yeah, that makes you feel old.
Well, it does make me feel a little old. I used to work for IBM, and when I first started, their technology, would fill this entire studio to do what I can do now on my mobile phone.
Yeah.
It's just incredible how it's changed.
It really is. And, that's I don't want to say bad, but the downside of that is everybody has a TV station in their pocket nowadays. That's it. They got a camera, there's a microphone, they stream it to YouTube, that's their channel. And when I'm teaching my high school class, I'm always stressing, just because you can do that doesn't mean it's good. Doesn't mean the quality is there, doesn't mean the concept is strong. So there's still a lot to be said for how you use the technology that we have.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in spite of how it's changed and all this artificial intelligence and everything, it's still the human that's the key.
Yes, exactly.
In front of the camera, behind the camera, working the technology.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know even at the high school when the sports that I've been there behind the camera and the studio, the portable studio that we had, how it was a little bit of a large box with many big devices, and now it's this little tiny, comfortable,
Yeah. Yeah. Back in the early days, Mike always used to say, boy, imagine if we had a van. And then we don't say that anymore because everything's in a laptop.
Yeah, it is. Over the years, are there any particular favorite programs or highlights that you would like to mention here?
Well, I definitely wouldn't pick a favorite program because, I love them all. I love them all. And I would say my favorite moments are if I was had a different career and not in community television, I would probably be a producer because I have found that I love getting everything in place, getting everything ready, designing the set, creating the graphics, what are we going to talk about, how's that going to happen, and then when the show starts, my job is over. And I just get to stand and just watch as all the magic happens. So those are some of my favorite ones. And it's, personally, it's great when people walk around and they say, wow, that's a cool looking studio. Because we try to be, we keep it clean, we try to have it look really nice. But mostly, I just love when the community is accessing HCAM in whatever way works for them. Whether it be learning how to run a camera, or sharing something in front of the lens, or watching at home, knowing that my grandmom is watching me play, or somebody will oftentimes say, hey, did you cover those plays? Because my kid just went through middle school and high school, and I want to have a record and make clips and stuff like that. So it's all the connection. One time I walked into the middle school and there was a student there, and he's like, hey, it's the man from HCAM. What's the question of the day? So just knowing that people are aware of the stuff that you're making and getting value and enjoying it. That's what I love.
Well, HCAM has been at the center of this wonderful community for over 20 years. I mean, and it's all under your leadership. I know your community outreach is so important to you to try to get people involved. And when there's a new organization in town, a nonprofit or a group of folks, you're out there saying, come on HCAM and tell us your story.
Right. There's so much potential for that, you know? And I always tell these people, look, you didn't join the Garden Club to make TV shows. I get that, you know? But the community will be interested in what you do. So, you know, invite us to a meeting, or better yet, create a board meeting or a club meeting that would fit and work in our studio, because you'll never get better audio and video quality than here in our studio. And as I often say, more people will see you on HCAM than will see you at the actual event.
Yeah, and it's amazing that the YouTube, as you say, and being able to access the website, by the way, which is one of your creations as well, you've updated and everything. So tell folks quickly, because we've only got a couple of minutes, a little bit about the website and how you'd like to kind of unfortunately wrap up our discussion today. It went
Sure.
fast.
Yes, that's actually a really good point. The website is really the nexus. Every single thing that we do is represented on the website. So all you do is remember hcam.tv, and everything that we do, you can connect with. We tried to make it as simple as possible, and you can see all of our YouTube stuff, you can see all of our offerings, all of our news, all of our workshops, everything in one place.
Well, it's unfortunate we didn't make this episode of All About Hopkinton an hour, because I could easily go on for another half hour with you. But thank you for this. So thank you, Jim, for being on the show today and being our station manager for an admirable and accomplished career with HCAM. I look forward to many more HCAM years with you at the helm. Thank you also and your team for bringing our town to life in every program of school sports, profit and nonprofit, town government, and all the people contributing at every level of HCAM's unique programming. That makes it an incredibly successful media organization. To Hopkinton's entire community, thank you for your support to keep HCAM a vibrant participant in our lives. Until next time, I'm Mary Arnott, signing out.